explore the nerve, identify and excise the neuroma. If gap is more, I will use cable graft. And if gap is less, what will you do?
If I'll be able to go with the primary
I'm
closure,
asking,
I'll.
you have written there, if gap is more, I'll use cable graft for repair. Okay. If gap is less, what will you do?
No, if the primary closure is not possible and the nerve suture line is coming under tension, I will go for a cable
Madam,
graft.
madam, when I see a presentation, I also go into the use of the English language. If you put a sentence saying that if gap is more, the human mind expects another line saying that if gap is less. I have a reason for this. I want to know what is that gap you think you can cross
What
with
is
a
the
nerve? Yeah, the
measurement
gap.
you tell?
What is the gap?
2 to 2.5 centimeter can be closed primarily.
A gap of 2 to 2.5 centimeters can be overcome by primary approximation at the level of the distal forearm. Okay. So if it is anything more than that, okay. Now you're doing it 6 months down the line. What are you going to see there? Are you going to see the two nerve ends next to each other?
No,
Could be,
there
could
will
not
be
be.
retraction.
Yeah. You said you're going to identify and excise the neuroma. Where does the neuroma form?
Neuroma forms at the end of the proximal nerve cut injury where the regenerating fiber.
Wait. You find it at the distal end of the proximal nerve stump,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What do you find at the proximal end of the distal nerve stump?
Uh, there will
Yes,
be glioma.
glioma. Yes. Now the thing is, there are two situations. You can find that there is one scar which is joining the two ends. If the nerve ends have not retracted during the primary nerve injury, there will be something like a neuroma or a scar which is enveloping spindle-shaped thing. Or you could have the two ends are completely deflected from each other. So one is ending in a neuroma and the distal end is. Regardless, you have to freshen it back to healthy edges. 6 months down the line, do you expect a nerve gap or a nerve defect? I'll come to that when I present.
Yes,
I'm
so there will be.
pretty sure that you will have a nerve defect,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
right? So if you have a nerve defect, you need a nerve graft, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The gap is what you overcome by bringing the nerve ends together. The defect cannot be overcome except by special means. What are the special means? There is a nerve gap after you have resected the proximal distal end, and the gap is say about 3 centimeters. Now, if you still are insistent about bringing those two ends together, no, it's not a conduit. Someone messaged conduit.
Hello.
No.
Someone messaged conduit. I said it's not a conduit that came talking. You
How will
want
you
to get
bring the ends together?
ends
Some
together.
procedure.
Any maneuver you can do.
We can flex the wrist.
Yeah, you can reposition the joints.
Yes, sir.
Mobilization and flexion. Sankamitra Gopal Ratnam. Okay, she got it right. So you can mobilize, but generally it is a good practice to repair nerves in the neutral position of joints.
Yes.
Right? Otherwise, what you're going to do is when the nerve is healing, the wrist is going to remain in awkward flexion. And you have to think of ways of how you will get the wrist back into neutral post-operatively. That is a very, very tricky thing. Right? So in hesitate, if you, I would say, don't hesitate to put a nerve graft if there is a nerve defect. A nerve gap is different. Today, if someone takes a knife and cuts my median nerve, at the operation theater, they'll find the two ends are separate. But they will be able to bring it together without doing any extra maneuver like mobilization or by flexing the wrist. That is because of elastic recoil. And the gap that you see that's a gap. It is something like, it's a potential gap. Whereas in the situation there is a nerve defect, right? So you
Yes.
said you use a cable graft. Okay.
Yes.
What is the opposite of a cable graft?
A single.
Someone's mic is on.
Hello?
Vidima,
Yes,
what is
sir.
the opposite of a cable graft?
Conduit.
No. It's a trunk graft. Trunk graft. Okay, pseudonerve graft or cable graft. Trunk graft, an example is if you take the entire radial nerve and put in radial nerve, okay, that becomes a trunk graft, where a single graft is used to match the distal and proximal ends. Suppose the patient has got an ulnar nerve injury also, ulnar nerve is unrepairable. You may imagine that you will harvest the ulnar nerve and put it as a graft in between the median nerve ends. Now that will be a trunk graft. It's not a good practice. It's not done because the central portion completely necroses. So we put cables, multiple cables for the median nerve. And that comes from the sural nerve, as you said. Okay, next.
Yes.
Dorsal blocking sprint and functional position of the hand, MP in flexion and IP in extension and thumb abducted for 3 weeks. Okay. Right. Next. So it takes 3 weeks for the suture line to heal and probably the skin to heal, right?
Yes, sir.
You said functional position of the hand. Once you say function position of the hand, you can't say wrist in neutral position.
In functional position, the wrist is an extension, but I would like to go with the wrist in neutral position.
Then don't use that. Huh? You just say dorsal blocking sprint with wrist in neutral, MCP in flexion, and IP in extension. Remove the functional position.
Okay, sir.
The wrist is in neutral. It's not kept in extension.
Yes.
Next. If post-operatively, after 3 months also, Tinner sign is not progressing, get nerve conduction studies and ENMG. Okay, what's the next slide after this?
Sir, tendon transfer.
No, leave it. Go back to some clinical picture of the scar and all that. Yeah, that's fine. Now, let us be optimistic. You have put a, say, a 3 centimeter cable graft. How many cables do you think you'll require for the median nerve at that level?
Minimum 3 cables.
Minimum 3. Yeah, 4. You should be able to switch in 4. Only thing is sometimes the distal end becomes quite narrow. So you may not be able to fit in as much. Whereas the proximal end is always bigger than the distal end. You know why?
The nerve, as the nerve tapers,
Yeah, the sprouts are there. The sprouts are there, no? The
Yes.
distal one has lost its connection with the center, so that will always, the diameter will be less. But still, you try to, build in some redundancy in your nerve grafting. You try to put as much as possible.
Yes.
Got it? So let us assume 3 to 4 cables, 3 centimeters long, you have put.
Yes, sir.
When you follow up the patient, how is it going to, at 3 months, what would you expect to see generally? How much would it have grown?
After a latency period of 1 month, the nerve starts growing at the rate of 1 millimeter per day. So around 2.5 centimeter per month.
2.5 centimeters per month. Okay. So where would you expect it to reach at 3 months?
Proximal, distal to the distal wrist crease.
Yeah, it would have just crossed the distal suture side because the kind of delay that you expect in the proximal suture line, that sort of a delay, latency period to some extent is also seen at the distal suture site. Okay? You said a month's latency at the proximal end. You may not get a month's latency, but at least a fortnight's latency also in the distal end. So at 3 months, you don't get to see much. Right? So please don't take a decision of a tendon transfer at 3 months. I would think you should wait at least for 6 months. Now, if you wait for 6 months, what is likely to happen?
Um,
कहाँ तक पहुंचेगा?
Sir, it will reach. I think it will reach till here.
Yeah, good. Show the pointer. Would it have reached the thinner motor branch?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So
Correct.
doing an ENMG at 6 months is probably a wiser choice. Now, why do I say ENMG? When I told you that you don't need an ENMG to operate on this case, why am I particular about an ENMG now?
To see the muscle denervation, because the motor end plates will be damaged.
Yeah, correct.
If in
No,
delay mode.
it's got nothing to do with the motor end plate. They don't get damaged at 6 months.
No,
You cannot.
later on, at 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, so at 6 months, why do you do an ENMG? To see muscle activity, right?
Yes.
That's what you said, to see muscle activity.
Yes,
What I'm trying to imply here is some amount of nerve fibers have crossed into the muscle, but that is not enough to restore clinical activity, but it will give you a positive report on the ENMG. So ENMG will pick up, it is more sensitive. It will pick up much early than your clinical examination. So there will be a lag period of again at least 3 months after that ENMG positive result you got, before you can see clinically return of bulk or palmar abduction. Then will you get sensation in the fingertips if everything is going right. You've done a good job.
more than 12 months.
Don't say more than 12 months. Approximately, more than 12 months is also 36 months. So give us a range.
A
It's
post
nothing.
surgery.
You need a scale. Basically, you need to know the length from the distal wrist crease up till the fingertip.
Fingertip.
Because you put a nerve graft, you take that measurement from the distal wrist crease. No, I mean the distal suture side, measure right up to the fingertips, and then you divide it by 2.5 for every month. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So then your argument about doing a tendon transfer at 3 months does not work at all. You have to wait for a minimum of 6 months. Minimum. And at 6 months, his sensation would have reached only about the palm. So we are back to that, tricky problem of doing a tendon transfer when the hand is not sensate. Remember, the dysfunction for the thumb in an isolated median nerve injury is not the same as in a combined median ulnar or in an isolated ulnar nerve injury. Okay, so you have the option of waiting. You said you're going to do some tendon transfer. What tendon transfer was it?
Sir, extensor indicis proprius to the. I'll transfer it to the abductor pollicis brevis.
Okay, it has to come somewhere into the volar palm
Yes,
and
through a pulley, I will bring it through a pisiform.
absolutely. But then, is there a theoretical chance that you're going to injure the nerve grafts that you put? There is, because it's going to be the same area. You operated, there's a scar there, and you have to tunnel across that area. So it is going to be absolutely tricky. I would rather give the best possible 42 years, isolated nerve injury, no comorbidities, 6 months down the line. I will still wait for intrinsic recovery to occur if my sensation is also going to come back. If it does not, then I consider a tendon transfer. But I need to be very careful if I'm going to use the tendon transfer. You get my point, Ridhima?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you are liable to damage the nerve graft, and it will all be a scar there. You may have to give a separate incision to make sure that you can create a tunnel. There will probably be an incision in that orange line that you have drawn, because you just can't connect from the ulnar border of the hand to the this one. Okay, I just want to ask, if you are given a choice of doing an opponent's plasty,
Yes, sir.
okay, which is the best donor possible.
So EIP.
No, it is not.
The
EIP
strength,
has been-
the strength, maximum strength we get from FDS, but there will be weakness of the grip due to. So
No, that is wrong logic. You do a lot of FDS transfers. You have to be careful about where you harvest a FDS in a special subset of patients who have got hypermobile joints, right? But it doesn't have to happen actually. You have to take care, hypermobile joints, then you may have to tenodest the distal FDS cuff, at least one of it, to keep the PIP in flexion.
Yes.
FDS is the best tendon transfer for opponentsplasty because it's completely synergistic. But when you have a wrist cut, it may not be available. I would not really think that is the situation in this present case. ADM, abductor digiti minimi, has got a very, very specific indication. I'll come back to that. Someone just flashed the message across. In this wrist cut, the tendons have probably not been injured. You agree?
Yes.
It is only transected the nerve. So the FDS theoretically is still available, provided again you take care about the nerve grafts which have been harvested there. It may be tricky, but you could still do an FDS opponentsplasty. Right? EIP is not really a synergistic muscle. It extends the index finger. So how are you going to teach him? It's tricky. And the success of the procedure is not because you have done the EIP transfer. It is because his FPB is still intact, at least one head. EIP operation can leave the patient with an extensor lag unless you are very careful.
Yes.
yes.
It is the operation of choice in patients with a median nerve injury and a wrist cut where FDS is not available. That is how. When Green talks about the EIP operation, he talks because they don't talk about leprosy. And in a wrist cut in the distal forearm, only EIP is available. That is why it has received prominence, but it's not a really good thing. When you do an FDS, you could still form the pulley at the other quarter of the hand. Right? So that is not a big issue. But the FDS muscle is synergistic. You get your fingers and thumb together, you will understand that it's very easy to teach the patient. Okay. Someone flashed the message across about an abductor digiti minimi. The abductor digiti minimi has got very, very specific indications.
Hypoplastic.
Yeah. Tell me.
Thumb hypoplasia and the congenital deficiency of the
that is the absolute indication for an ADM transfer. Absolute indication for an ADM transfer. Otherwise, generally, it's not preferred. Okay. I think we'll stop with this. It's been more of a learning interactive session, but you are on the right track. This is a straightforward case. You are on the right track, so we'll just close it there.
Okay.
Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you, sir.
We'll go to the next.